Oh, actually, yeah. Did you see that video of these parents arguing with a police officer in the park about when their kids are going? I went to quickly see it. I haven't actually watched it or seen what they're talking about, but maybe we can watch it and devise what's going on. But I'm not one to, I don't know, man. I try not to judge in these situations again because you just don't know what people's realities are like. And I can only imagine what it must be like having a kid at home now during this lockdown. It must be horrendous for the parents and for the child itself. And most of the reason why you like, because I remember thinking now, when you're older, you're like, oh, fuck school, waste of time. But when you're younger, school was everything, innit? Hanging out with your friends, chatting shit, playing, getting, falling on the floor, getting bruised, getting your packed lunch, eating your friends, whatever, innit? Like, ODing on fucking ice cream and whatever. And then when you take that away from a kid and he has to stay indoors with their parents, that must be super boring. And again, especially for the parents who don't necessarily stay at home during the day with their kids either, you have a nanny or whatever. So you usually get your kid, because I imagine when you get your kid after school, it's a different type of child, isn't it? Because he's probably tired, he's all full, he's covered in sugar and mess, whatever. So you're getting a different kid than what you'd get when you're staying with them the whole day. They're super hyperactive, bouncing off the walls. So I can only imagine what that person's like. So you're like, you know what, you're driving me mad, I just have to get you outside. And you go outside and suddenly your park is completely gated off and it's been all taped up and shit. And then you have the added thing as well, is like every state has had a different reaction or a different protocol when it comes to the pandemic, and everyone's dealing with it differently, and the effects have been different too. So you are within your right, if you're a citizen, you are within your right to ask questions of your governor and be like, hey, look at the statistics, the people in this state are under a certain age, we've only got this amount of fatalities, why don't we do something different? Because I think that's the something that they're missing in America, they haven't done. There could be a real opportunity for each state to have a different approach to the lockdown. Maybe some places don't do it and they adopt a maybe more of a Swedish model where people social distance and people are encouraged not to go out, but if they do, they have to not keep in big groups, new protocols in terms of cleaning and shit. There could be interesting approaches that they could use, but instead when you just blanket lockdown, especially in America where there's very varying levels of acceptance of any kind of state control or governance control, right? They hate all that shit. They fight. They're intrinsically against it. It's part of their amendment. Then I can understand we have these positions, or you have these situations where suddenly, there's these weird positions. There's weird situations where a police officer is arresting a mum in a park for taking a kid out. On paper, that just looks really, really, really ridiculous. But let's see what exactly happened on this video here, and I'll play it for you guys. You can hear it in the background, hopefully.
Yeah. I guess all this tape, like on that statue, was on all this stuff. And I guess people pull it off. So I'm sorry. I wish you could stay and play.
And already he's in a bad position, isn't it? Because who wants to be that police officer that's going and telling a mum that she can't let her kids go in the park? Who wants to do that? It's a thankless task. And the mum's in her right to take a kid out. The police officer's in the right too to arrest him because he's not meant to be there. But freedom of freedom of choice, freedom of speech, freedom of movement. How can you really restrict people from going outside? You can't necessarily do it. You can encourage them not to go out, and you can maybe encourage them by maybe closing bars and whatever they may be. But as we've seen in the UK, that hasn't done anything really. They've closed all the bars and restaurants and people are still wandering around. So there's just no way of locking people inside their homes unless everybody has, let's say 1 in or 5 in 10 people have somebody they know who passed away from it. That's when you can maybe get some kind of compliance because everyone's got somebody they know that's passed away. But until then,
some angry kids, I get it. Hi guys. So I'm sorry. Hopefully this thing will open up soon. Okay, you guys have any questions?
Well, it's a public park, so I
this is where the end of the video goes a bit wrong, because normally in these videos, usually the police officers are quite antagonistic, right? They're already coming up ready for a confrontation. This guy started very respectful. He said, look, I'm sorry I have to do this and tell you to leave, but it is what it is, it's the rules. And then immediately when you get the opportunity to kind of have some civil discourse, the mum is straight away with a backup. And I think as well with these kind of public confrontations, whenever you see somebody recording a conversation midway through, it's always a sign that something is fishy here. Like when they feel like they're losing the argument, they pull out their phone just to kind of document something to make them look better than what they actually are. Because I don't think he's done anything wrong here. He's just approached them in a respectful way, And now suddenly, when the lady gets, or the mum gets a chance to reply, she immediately wants to be like, oh, but it's my, it's you're free to come here. It's a park, it's a public space. It's like, we know it's a public space, darling. Just, we're living in weird times. Can you just, give me some kind of slack? Can you just do me a favor and go home? Do you know what I mean?
do wonder why it's being closed when it's a public park. I mean, we're not breaking a law.
Well, the city closed it, and the city can close the park at any time.
Under what grounds? Under what grounds can they just come in and...
The city code says they can.
But we have to
With the
still pay
city-
taxes, right? I mean, we're paying taxes down. We don't get a refund on the parks we're
I am
paying
not the
for.
one to argue with. The one to argue with, if you don't like it, is the mayor.
A refund in the park, imagine. Obviously the guy's response is a bit weird. It goes contact the mayor, but imagine saying, oh, we paid in taxes and we're going to get a refund for it being closed. No, you're not. Why would you think you would get a refund anyway?
Or the parks director. I'm just a law enforcement officer, and I've been asked to come here and make sure everyone moves. So,
Right, you're the line of enforcement on an order that, quite frankly, is unconstitutional.
okay, that's something to take up with the mayor and the parks director.
But you're enforcing it right now.
Yeah.
That's your choice, right?
I could enforce it. I could charge people, but I don't want to do that.
Have you done
Yeah.
that? Have you
I
done
have
that at any
not.
point?
I have not.
Okay.
I
Let's
don't-
fast forward a bit.
But
Up
you
in the
gotta-
I'll
charge.
tell you exactly what you can and can't do. I will tell you, the playground is closed. We told you that. Okay?
How difficult must it be to be a police officer in the United States, right? The amount of back chat you get from residents is weird too, because in the UK we don't even have police officers that have guns, right? They just have batons and shit, or pepper spray. But these guys have police officers with guns, and they still give them back chat. Like, it's just immense. And they, we've got how many videos you need to see of somebody, and again, they're human beings just like you and I. They're gonna have bad days and good days. So imagine wanting to roll the dice with somebody that has a bit of power, that has authority, that has a fucking weapon, a deadly weapon on their waist. Well, you just want to like shut up and go home, especially if it's such a frivolous issue like this. There are times you have to stand up for yourself, but is this really what the hill you want to die on? Taking your little spotty kid to a park?
Or you talk to this gentleman.
Well, ma'am,
Well, he's not enforced, like, so he might be the park director, though, but he's not going to cite us, and he's not going to arrest us, and he's
but
not
he
going
can
to
ask me to
charge.
cite or arrest you.
Okay, so what would he be citing us for?
Trespassing.
On the public playground
Public property.
that we pay for.
It was closed
But we
by
have the right to peaceably assemble.
closed by the mayor's and director's order.
So it's up to you if you decide you would like to press charges or. Gotcha.
Okay, still
No,
going.
we're just moms.
Continue.
In Costco or anywhere else, places are open with social distancing.
Gotcha thing, isn't
No, we have rights. No, we're just tired of
No,
this.
so all of you just showed up all
We showed up here so we could let our kids play and.
And it's also just like it's just like I guess this is what the international dark web guys talk about, especially Eric Weinstein. Like, we don't have any shared narratives in it. There's no like collective reality. We're all living in our own version of reality. Everyone's got their own simulation running at exactly the same time, but we've all got unlimited RAM, so no one's computer's buffering. Because if your computer buffers, you know exactly what the issue is, and that you got to close some tabs and you got to restart it. But when your computer's running the same way and nothing's happening and everyone else has the same thing, you don't realize it's an issue. There's no shared narrative that you can kind of both explore. And this is what's happening in the States. They're all so geeked out. They're all so skeptical. They're all so cynical that there's no way that they can understand, the bigger picture. It's just all about you and your own thing, right? So it's just like, I have to get my little Johnny in the park. He needs to play. He's feeling anxious. It's like, yeah, we know. So is every other kid in the whole entire world. Do you know what I mean? It's not just you're going through this, but they're so fucking lasered in their own narrative. They're unable to see the bigger picture. So imagine arguing with this kind of person, trying to walk them down. It's just impossible. It really is. So bloody hell, man. Let's fast forward a
Have a
bit.
play date.
Still arguing. And what makes it worse too, this is like a local park too. It looks like a local community. The guy that's there, he's got like a cap on and a fleece. He just looks like a local dude that happens to run it. Maybe he's the he's the, I don't know, the parking attendant, whatever it may be. So everyone knows each other, right? There's like a fairly affluent area. It's, you know, the police officers, you know, the people that work there. So there's some kind of kinship. There should be some level of understanding. It's not like you're in the middle of Manhattan with some random people that they flew in from fucking San Fran. This is people that you've grown up with, people you might have gone to school with, or whatever. And there's still no level of civility. There's still no level of kind of like, okay, I get where you're coming from. Let me make your job a little bit easier. Give me 5 minutes or something. I don't know, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Let's compromise. No. It's these Karens just shouting, "Bad, bad, my kid, my kid." So
I saw it when I got here. I did.
still shouting.
This is it.
Okay.
The playground here. Now.
This is it.
Because you guys aren't listening. I just told you, exit the playground area. It's
But
easy.
we're not trespassing.
This is
Exit.
not.
What did it say?
Do it. Report it.
Okay, this is not.
What?
Arrest me for being in the car. Do it.
So she asked to get recorded. She asked to get arrested, right? Do it. Do it.
Report it.
Okay, this is not.
And he
Officer,
obliges.
you don't
Of course. That's
Want
his
to
job.
do that, officer? You don't.
Get arrested. Foundation right now and get them on the phone.
Call now. I'm
Who
recording.
call who?
Detained.
Someone call Idaho Freedom Foundation right now and get them on the phone.
Call now.
Oh, what a donut. She gets arrested, I guess, and now she's what? Are you Malcolm X? Like, honestly, are you Harriet Tubman? Like, this is just insane. So she's fighting the fight, right? She's gonna come out with a shirt, right? Mothers for Parks or some shit. She gets escorted off by the police officers, I'm assuming. But then the other side of it that's really, really funny is that the follow-up video, they actually go outside the police officer's home. They find the person's address, I don't know how, and they're all parked out there trying to have some kind of, I don't know, protest or whatever. Like, Americans are fucking wild, man. Okay, it's up here. Look how many people there is out there. Let's go back there a little bit. Look how many people are outside the house. No one social distancing either. They don't give a flying fuck about that. There's like, what, at least 15 to 20 people out there? That is insane. So they managed to, this is the, because usually when you see these kind of batshit crazy videos, you're like, okay, cool, it's just one person in it, you're like, whatever in it. But they managed to go around their local community, gather other mums and dads, tell them the story, right? Imagine you tell someone the story. I went to the park with my little Johnny and the police officer kicked us out. Your natural reaction would be like, why did they kick you out for? Oh, because the park was closed, but I went there because they need to get a run. And a sensible person would be like, yeah, but the park's closed. But no, these guys actually agreed and were like, oh man, the state's controlling us, fuck this shit, we're gonna go and protest. We're gonna actually, let's get the address of the police officer and go and harass his family outside their home. So they've done that. As a community, they've all gathered around this person's house. So now what? Like, you're gonna be throwing fucking devil stares at the mum that has nothing to do with it, right? At the police officer's wife, whatever. It's like, it's insane. Like,
wouldn't you want people to show?
and again, wouldn't you go to the wouldn't you go to the local police station to protest this? Why would you go to the police officer's home? Like, what's the family has? What does his family have to do with anything? Like, wouldn't that make more sense? Because at least at the police office, at the police station, you have the ability to speak to the station manager or whoever they're fucking called, right? You don't have any. There's no recourse. There's no solution you're gonna find that are parking outside of his house. If anything, you're just gonna scare whatever kids are in there, and if anything, they're going to make sure that they round up every single one of you because you've essentially, made that person's life hell. And if we know anything about cops in the US, they stick together. If you do one thing to one of them, you've done it to everybody else. You're not gonna get away with any fans here.
Support? Yep.
And the guys are playing basketball 10 times right next to us, passing the same ball back and forth.
It's a peaceful protest.
It's 100% peaceful.
Right, they're protesting someone's.
We do want to make sure that Meridian Police Department, you guys understand that if you guys treat us respectfully, obviously we treat you respectfully.
Of course, like, why is he saying about respect? Like, it's like, what? Like, honestly, this is just insane. It really is.
Yeah,
I'm the guy that spoke to the gentleman on shift.
I understand that.
It's funny because
I don't, again.
Innocent and law-abiding citizens of Idaho do not take kindly to our rights being stripped away from us, just like you guys do.
Just imagine, man, what happens when somebody lets off one. That's the thing, and it only takes one person to fire off a shot for it just to go all to hell, and then you suddenly got parents like in a firefight with the police officers. no one wins. It is literally the most insane thing I've seen in my life. Like again, that lack of shared narrative is just insane, really, isn't it? So if you're in London and you are thinking of taking the piss out of people going in the park somewhere, spare a thought for this one. At least we're not having face off with police officers in front of their homes, with people wearing cowboy hats. He's strapped for real. There's this guy here in a cowboy hat somewhere along here who looks like he definitely got a full arsenal of weapons somewhere in his house.
Children
You know what?
park out
That
in the
whole
open
Costco
air.
thing, I totally get. I
Yeah,
don't
well, I mean,
understand it
Costco,
either.
Walmart, Albertsons, so on and so forth. I mean, it's really.
I love the glee that this mum has in the front when she's recording. Why do these Karens have such kind of like they get so giddy when they have their smartphone and they're recording as if they're gonna capture, I don't know, as if this is like the defining proof. We all have phones. We all know what's going on here. It's no big deal. Look how happy she is in
You
the
know
front.
what?
Park out
That
in the
whole
open
Costco
air.
thing, I totally get.
Look,
Yeah.
smiling from ear to ear.
Well, I mean, Costco,
I'm gonna
Walmart,
get you.
Albertsons, so on and so forth. I mean, it's really honestly ridiculous.
The bottom
I
line
understand
is,
that. I'm as
we are
frustrated.
You can
Wondering
see this.
what the word unalienable means. What does unalienable mean?
will not go into parks and arrest people. You will not go into parks and arrest mothers, or you will not go anywhere and arrest us for exercising what our rights are. You do not have that right. We have.
They kind of do though, innit? The same way you have the right to protest, they have the right to close the parks and tell you can't go in them. This is the problem they're having, innit? Everyone's got rights, but no one's willing to compromise. No one's willing to meet anyone in the middle. So there's going to be an impasse here. They're not going to ever agree. But if you have a right to protest and stand outside this house, they have the right to tell you to fuck off. It is what it is, isn't it? Really, innit? But yeah, it just continues on. But that was a fucking wild story, man. Absolutely wild. And it won't end probably well for those guys, but that is the